Stand by. Apple earnings out any minute. The stock is halted in advance of that. Analysts are expecting big things. Second quarter profit of $2.45 a share.
Wow.
Revenue just north of $12 billion, David.
For what else we should be looking for in this report, we're joined by Michael Ubahasky of First Empire Asset Management and our own Shibani Joshi, who is at the NASDAQ. Good to see you both. The extraordinary thing here, Michael, is that the earnings just continue to grow for this company. I mean, they have squeezed out so much excess, have increased profitability to an extent that nobody saw a year ago.
David, they are building an incredible franchise, and we are coming to the point now that the iPhone, because of the recent changes in accounting, is becoming absolutely ridiculously profitable to them. Before, they were spreading the revenues over 2 years. Now, pretty much all of it is being realized right at the point of sale. So is the availability in close to 90 countries. This is now becoming the real driver of Apple revenues and their profitability.
Shibani, you've got some numbers of the expectations of sales as far as breakdowns are concerned regarding the iPhone, the iTouch, the iTunes, all of that. I mean, what does it look like? It's unbelievable. People talk about not a lot of discretionary spending. People spend on Apple products.
People are certainly spending on Apple products, and what is amazing, they're spending on Apple products all around the world, all around the globe. These products, the iPhone in particular, expected to see growth rates of 80% year over year, largely driven by international iPhone sales in places like China, South Korea, and other places. But as far as what consensus is looking for, 2.8 million Macs expected to be sold last quarter. That is up 25%, 7 to 7.5 million iPhones, and 9 to 10 million iPods. Growth rate of about 3%, so a little bit lackluster there. But what we are seeing is this company comes out with blockbuster products, and then it starts to migrate the product all around the world, and that is what continues to rev up that engine.
By the way, you may have noticed by omission, Shibani did not mention the iPad. iPad earnings won't come out until next quarter, although we will get some statements, Michael, about how the next quarter might do, which might indicate how the iPads are selling, correct?
Absolutely, and the iPad, the initial sales will account for about half of this fiscal year. So the profitability, the margins on the iPad are very similar to the iPhone. Yeah. So it should contribute, even with relatively slow volume in the beginning, it should start contributing to the sales fairly soon, actually.
They are just coming out now, Shibani. I imagine you see the figures coming across the wire. Go ahead.
I am seeing again, we need to dig in a little bit deeper here, but the basic numbers I'm seeing here, $3.33 for earnings per share on revenue of $13.5 billion. Again, that is a beat on both fronts. The company sold 2.9 million Macs. That is higher than what the consensus number was looking for. 8.75 million iPhones. That is very much higher than what the street was looking for. Let me see if I can pull out
well, Sandra Smith is also looking at. Sandra, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm also looking at the guidance is much lower than the street was looking for the current quarter. I'm seeing $2.28 a share, and the consensus was for $2.70 for the for Apple's third quarter. So that would be much lower than anticipated there. We're still digging through the numbers.
That's interesting, Sandra, because of the iPad success. One would think that would certainly float that bottom line.
Yeah, David and Liz, there was also a lot of analysts today saying they were expecting the company to be very conservative on the current quarter.
They always are.
That could be what we're seeing, yeah.
Well, Michael, 8.75 million iPhones. What does that mean to you?
It's the usual quarter. The numbers are really awesome, and the Apple's projections are very conservative. So we'll see what usually happens. They beat the expectations, and they are below the expectations for the next quarter for the future. But this is just the beginning of the iPhone franchise. You know, I think the third generation, we know a lot more about the next iPhone, which promises to be quite an awesome device. It will grow incredibly around the world. This will really allow Apple to diversify their revenues globally. Right now, they're still 70% U.S., so they have a lot of growth there.
Let's bring in the bulls and bears here to react to this. Jason, looking at the iPods, this is not a brand new product here. 8.9 million iPods sold during the quarter. The expectation was for 9 to 10 million. What does this say? Can you look at these earnings and really glean something important about the overall picture here?
Well, I think there are two things. One is we've already heard about the global demand here, how that's impacting this, and I think the fact that U.S. consumption here for high-tech goods, some of it is the branding, but I think some of it shows that American consumers are willing to go out there and they're willing to spend, and I think it speaks well to thoughts about recovery, that despite high unemployment, people are still going out buying these things en masse.
Toby, the first time I heard about Apple 200, it was from you. Do I hear Apple 300 now?
Yeah, you know, our number is 300. We're taking a little profit here at 250, David, simply because, you know, we have a lot of people in at 30, 40, 50 bucks, and, you know, let's not be greedy. But overall, the point about the accounting may sound silly, but it's incredibly important because as these iPhone sales beget other iPhone sales, when you can recognize those earnings up front, boy, it just becomes an absolute earnings powerhouse. And iPad is going to be bigger than the quote-unquote experts say, because we're doing survey research on it, and it's knocking it out of the park.
Nathan, the stock is still halted. We just want to let our viewers know that. But what do you make of these earnings? They look pretty good, but as Sandra says, the outlook is not as high as some might have expected, but that's classic Apple. They always under-promise, over-deliver.
Yeah, oh poo. And in the meantime, we're trying to wonder if that lost new iPhone really was a plant or not. I mean, great marketers. Listen, look at those Mac sales. Look at those Mac sales. The franchise is expanding. Now people are saying, you know what, I want this in my house. I'm getting rid of my PC. I like Toby saying, take some profit, but yeah, easily 300 on this thing.
Well, now that we're talking profit, let's talk about the gross profit margins, which I mentioned we were talking about before, are huge. iPhone's gross profit margins are nearly 60% now. I mean, this company is just a money-making machine, and it always, when the new products come on, it comes on at maybe 30% and quickly goes up above 50.
It is really incredible. And
we need windfall profits, David. That's windfall profit tax.
Not too loud, Toby. They may take it seriously in D.C.
We own Apple for our clients, and as long as they are going to be delivering those kinds of margin and the growth rates, and also remember, Apple is no debt. It just generates incredible amounts of cash. Those margins are unheard of in the industry. So they are truly the leader right now that everybody else is trying to emulate.
Shabani has some comments from Apple.